I once told a hiring manager that I didn't need the job. I was just there to see if they were good enough for me. 2 hours later, I had a job offer. No portfolio, no code test, just a sentence that flipped the entire room upside down. Sounds like delusion, right? Maybe. But in tech, delusion with delivery looks like confidence. And that one sentence, it worked at Fortune 500 companies and 3 startups. Watch until the end and I'll give you the exact line, the mindset behind it, and how you can drop it in your next interview without sounding like a maniac. If you've ever stared at a Zoom call with dry lips and sweaty palms, praying they don't ask what Kubernetes actually does, this video is for you. We've all been there, paralyzed by imposter syndrome, rehearsing bullet points from a job description like it's a Shakespearean monologue. And yet, the person who gets the offer isn't the one with the perfect answers. It's the one who sounded like they belonged in that room. Drop a comment if you've ever watched someone get promoted just because they could talk a big game. I used to hate it until I became that person. Now imagine this, you're in a final round interview. They hit you with a question you absolutely cannot answer. You know it. They know it. The air goes still. Most people spiral. I didn't. I smiled and said this one sentence. Not only did it break the tension, it made the hiring manager lean in. That's exactly the mindset we need, she said. I left that call knowing I had the offer. Want to guess the sentence? Type it below, I'll reveal it soon. Here's the truth they don't put on job boards. Hiring managers aren't just testing your knowledge. They're testing your narrative, your presence, your frame. When you speak like someone who makes decisions, not someone who waits for permission, you shift the dynamic. I walked into every interview like I was already on the team, like I was just confirming whether they met my standards. And people ate it up. Why? Because most candidates sound like they're apologizing for existing. Let's be real, most interview advice is broken. Just be yourself. Speak about your weaknesses. Don't brag. That's how you end up on a short list of forgettable applicants. The game is psychological. The stakes are emotional. You're not trying to prove you're the best candidate. You're trying to make them feel something. Curiosity, excitement, urgency. Comment, I'm done playing small if you're ready to flip the script. In one interview, I was asked, what would you do if your team didn't agree with your technical direction? I could have given some fluffy team player response. Instead, I said, I welcome disagreement, but I don't need consensus to lead. The room went quiet. One guy whispered, wow. I wasn't showing off. I was showing up like a leader who makes hard calls. That sentence, again, not about facts, about frame. About being the kind of person who can be trusted to own outcomes. And that leads me to the sentence. The one I used in every single interview. It wasn't rehearsed. It was a decision, posture. When they'd ask, why should we hire you? I'd look them dead in the eye or the webcam and say, if you're looking for someone who ticks every box, I'm not your guy. But if you want someone who makes the impossible look obvious, I suggest we skip to the offer. That's it. No fluff, no desperate pitch, pure frame control. Let that land for a second. That sentence doesn't beg. It doesn't try to convince. It assumes value. And when you assume value, people match your belief. Think about it, would you trust a pilot who tiptoed into the cockpit and asked if you thought they were ready? Or one who just nodded, locked in and said, let's fly. That's what confidence does. It transfers certainty. Write I'm the pilot in the comments if that's who you're becoming. I had one interview with a unicorn startup where VC funding was out the ears. The CTO grilled me on system design. I dodged 3 questions completely, but my tone? Bulletproof. I said, that's a great scenario. I'd bring in my SRE lead, align with product, and own the risk. He stopped taking notes, just nodded slowly, because I wasn't just answering. I was leading, and leaders don't panic. They navigate. Look, I'm not saying lie in interviews. I'm saying lead with belief. The market is saturated with mid-level devs who know things. What they don't have, presence, edge, the ability to walk into a room and own space. I've hired people myself. I never picked the smartest. I picked the ones who spoke like they'd already solved my problems. That's what the sentence does. Positions you as inevitable, not optional. If you're watching this and thinking, that could never be me, I want you to pause. That used to be me. 8 years ago, I over-explained everything. I threw acronyms like confetti. I lost offers to people with half my skills because they sounded more certain. Until I realized interviews aren't about facts. They're about frames. Comment certainty over credentials if this is clicking for you. You don't need a top-tier resume. You need top-tier delivery. Every word you say must imply value. Every pause must carry weight. You don't have to answer everything perfectly. You just have to stay grounded. Interviews are theater, and the best actors don't read scripts, they command attention. That's what this sentence does. It disrupts, it reframes, it flips the table. Now, don't just memorize the sentence. Internalize the energy behind it. Practice it. Say it out loud right now. If you want someone who makes the impossible look obvious, I suggest we skip to the offer. Feel the conviction in your chest. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's ownership. The sentence only works if you work it. Say it without apology, without doubt. Then watch what happens. Found this valuable? Watch our playlists for more practical, executive-level insights on cloud architecture and digital transformation, and leading your business into the next era of growth. And don't forget to share this video with anyone who needs a clearer cloud strategy. Knowledge is power, and the more people who understand this, the more successful your organization will be. Simplify the cloud, amplify the impact.